NRL fantasy team lists are dropping. I have not looked at these at all, guys. I've just ducked out of work. It was a big week last week, and there's a lot of guys up in the air, in doubt for this game. So this is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big team list. Let's jump right into it, and let's go into this first game here. Right, straight away, off the bat, we got the Doggies, and we got the Dragons. Okay, so for the Doggies and the Dragons, look, this is the kind of game where, actually, let's zoom in a bit. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's fix up my view here. I'm sorry, guys. This is rookie hour right here. It's a little bit smaller there. Here we go. So, Doggies and Dragons. Big game here. First up, Connor Tracy keeps his spot here. Karaz, Bronson Xerri, Stephen Crichton, Addo Carr. Strong backline. Been in good form. And as Jahu said, Doggies questions only for now, guys. Forward pack, Max King, Reed Marnie, Sam Hughes, William Kickout, Jamin Salmon, Kurt Mann. Okay, so first things first. Wow. Jamin Salmon gets back his spot there. Jacob Preston stays on the bench. I'm pretty shocked by that. I'm pretty surprised by that. I thought that we would see Preston slowly work his way back into a 65 to 70-minute role. Him being on the bench just means we are not going to be making that move. We're not going to be buying him anytime soon. He's not an option that we want to be going into. So, yeah, steer clear on that one. For Jamin Salmon, if you got him, yeah, look, I think you've got to move him on, but he just keeps on earning these minutes, so maybe there'll be something there. I don't think so. Big question here from Lewis. Can we talk about the Harry Grant bounce back? Yeah, look, we called it, man. We called it. Said he'd have a bounce back game. Parramatta have been leaking points to the hooker spot. Harry Grant scored that try against us last year as well. I reckon for Harry Grant, it's one of those scenarios where it was just a good matchup. Keep him for this week as well. He's the best hooker in fantasy, but you might want to move him on during Origin. Potentially hold him as well. It depends on the injuries they have, right? So if Munster's out for a while, then maybe Wishart plays half, and maybe Grant doesn't have that problem with the bench hooker. But yeah, let's have a look at this. So Max King, gun of the week. Okay, this is a good shout here because he's at a nice price, Max King. He's at a very, very affordable price. If you make a move on Max King right now, I could see that really working out. As long as he stays fit and as long as he keeps his minutes, which with his bench, I mean, Josh Curran comes on. He comes up mostly at lock. Moran, Preston. I think Max King could hold a good minute base. I think he could be one of those guys who potentially averages sort of 50 to 52 through the Origin period. So, yeah, really good shout there. All right, rest of the team, I'm not super interested in these other guys. Kickow was a pod that's been thrown around a little bit. Not really my sort of flavor of pod, but just a bit unreliable in terms of the points base and already at a pretty expensive price. For the Dragons, we've got Tyrell Sloan at fullback, Zach Lomax, Moses Sully, Jack Bird, Michaeli Ravalawa. You've got Kyle Flanagan and Ben Hunt in the halves. All right, so for the Dragons, nothing too crazy you're going to report. So Moses Sully, he's at a pretty cheap price if you wanted to make a move on someone down there. I don't think he's cheap enough to make the move, but he's around. It's just we have a lot of other options there at that price point, so I'm probably not going to do anything with that. The rest of it, Lomax maybe plays Origin. I don't think anything comes from that. Ben Hunt obviously plays Origin, but I don't see too much there. In the forward pack, I will note here that Luciano Leilua is back on the bench. So Luciano being back on the bench, it probably is more of a threat to Tom Eisenhuth and Jack DeBellin. So theoretically, what I would say is going to happen here is Luciano is going to grow back into that bigger minute role. He'll be back to not 80 minutes necessarily, but maybe 55, 60 minutes. That will mean that he plays on the edge. It'll mean Eisenhuth has to play in the middle. So he probably plays a bit more lock. Jack DeBellin might move to prop more. He might stay at lock. He might play less minutes. You've got guys like Blake Laurie, Fatala Mariner as well. And then that throws into the Hame Sele, Frankie Molo conversation. So thoughts on Hame Sele as a pod from Steggles? I don't like it. I like his PPM. I think he's a good player in real life. I just think the pressure that Luciano puts on the rest of the team here, if he plays edge, it pushes Eisenhuth to lock, it pushes DeBellin to prop. It just means that you're going to have a scenario where Hame Sele might be the guy who misses out because Francis Molo definitely won't be. Is Sewer a buy? This one's a bit harder. So I like Jaden Sewer. We talk about him most years. He's a little bit risky to make the Origin side, not necessarily a guarantee at all. Good chance that Nanai and Fafita are in those spots. But Jaden Sewer is a tough player, runs a good line, could be a guy that Queensland lean on. So he could easily be on that bench for Queensland or sub in for an Origin. Injury, whatever it is there. So with Jaden Sewer, I like it, but I don't love it. I think there's a bit of risk there. DeBellin gets starting lock, yes, but they've been moving their team around a lot on game day. So I wouldn't be shocked if they went, you know what, actually, DeBellin bench, Eisenhuth lock, Luciano edge, or for Tyler Mariner edge. They've just been sort of messing around with it a bit, so I wouldn't be doing that move just yet. The rest of the bench, look, it's pretty tough. Like Laurie, Tyler Mariner, and Leilua, they're all big minute eaters. I don't like anything at St. George right now as a buy option, so probably steer clear of most of these guys. Our next group here, we've got the Cowboys and the Tigers. The 05 Grand Final rematch, always a pretty good game between these teams. So last year, the Tigers won one of those games by 70 points. The Cowboys won the other one by 70. So, we don't know what we're going to get coming to this game. Is it going to be the Cowboys that win by $1 billion or the Tigers? I'm going to jump right in here first. So Scotty Drinkwater comes in. He's at fullback there. A lot of people got on Drinkwater last week or the week before. Now, look at this Tigers back line. Just take a moment, have a look. Dream Buller, Charlie Staines, Declan Casey, Josh Folletti, and then Solomon Alamalo. Always going to take a moment. It's a pretty inexperienced backline, right? So there's plenty of talent there, but I can't see them holding up against this this Cowboys backline. I think Scotty Drinkwater is going to absolutely tear up in this game. I think that Valentine Holmes will tear up in this game. I think Taulagi is a good shout for a hat trick in this game. Burns is in good form. Vilea, mate, he looked dangerous last week as well. I just think if you have any of these Cowboys backs, you're going to be starting them this week. Would I go buy any of these guys? I wouldn't be touching Val Holmes with Origin coming up. I think Tom Dearden makes the Origin side as well. I think for the rest of it, Taulagi could be an Origin. There's not really too much to say about this in terms of a buy option group. But if you're on Drinkwater, or if you're thinking about getting on Drinkwater, this is a good week to do it. He should theoretically cover up this game. And, oh, man, that's a big question. So, Peter, captaining Drinkwater or Hines versus Penrith? Peter, you're in a pretty good ranking spot as well, I remember too. So, captaining Drinkwater and it going well could be really big. I think Hines is a safe option. I'm probably going to go Hines myself. Obviously, they lost to the Warriors last week, Penrith. So, they're not unbeatable by any means. We saw Tamari Martin score like 65 fantasy points against Penrith last week, and I think Charles Klokstad scored about 55. So I'm pretty comfortable going Hines this week. But if you want to drink water, that is, it's bold. It's very bold, but it's risky. Segueing into the forward pack here: McLean, Robson, Griffin Neem, Halem Lukey, Jeremiah Nanai, and Ruben Cotter. Now, a couple of points being raised here. So Mutate mentioned that Cotter played rounds 14, 17, and 20 last year off the bench. There were a couple of games there where they really signified their intent to rest Ruben Cotter post these Origin games. So when I look at Ruben Cotter, I think last year there was a game where they started Jake Granville at prop over Cotter, and Cotter played about 25 minutes. I don't think you want to hold Cotter through the Origin period, but I'm very happy to hold him this week. So keep him this week, I would say, and then sell him next week is the plan that I would put forward. If you have a good trade to do with him right now, I doubt you do because the middles are so messy right now. You probably have other guys to trade right now. But if you want to sell Cotter right now, I don't mind that either. But I'll be holding one more week. And then good question here. So Cotter, can you hold one more week or sell this week for Max King? I think that King should theoretically score about the same as Cotter this week, and then he's a better buy option. So yeah, I don't mind that. If you've got trades to spare, you can go and make that move. Does Robson make the Origin squad? Good question here. So for Reece Robson, I would say he does. I think there was a patch about a month ago where I was pondering the idea that we could see Coruscant and Egan in that rotating hooker spot. I thought maybe that might be the play. There's a bit more attacking flair in that duo. Obviously, Egan has copped quite a few injuries since then, hasn't been in the best form, just playing off the bench a bit. So I think, it's going to be Robson and Coruscant most likely. There's a small chance that it could be Connor Watson instead with Coruscant starting. That could be an option too. As a Robson owner, I'm hoping that he doesn't make it. But at the same time, he doesn't look out of place in that Blues squad, so could be a good shout. All right, let's look at the rest of the pack here. So a couple of you guys mentioned Lukey as well. Lukey is a risky option, but he's a very, very high upside option as well. So Lukey's a guy who can absolutely tear up given the right day. Yeah, this matchup's a good one for him, right? So I think Lukey could be good. You also got to mention that Jeremiah Nanai plays Origin 100%. So it means that Funafuaki is going to be a starting back rower for them, which means Lukey could play 80 minutes in these major Origin buy rounds. So yeah, no, I think if you want to get Lukey, I like that as a pod. I've got too many guys already around that price point, so I can't do it myself. But if you want to do it, it's got a lot of upside. The injury is the only risk really with this guy. And as Pat says, exactly right. Lukey has burned me so many times. He's burned me too, man. He's been around the block and he's burned us all. It's been a tough ride for us Halem Lukey owners, but nonetheless, we soldier on. We keep on rooting for him, don't we? Let's go into the bench here. So McIntyre, McKaylee, Funafuaki, and Tamalolo. So it's a bit dicey. McKaylee wasn't offloading like his usual self most of his last stint. I worry about that. I think you still keep him for this round 13 game because the options at middle are really light. But then after round 13, relook at McKaylee, have a think about that. It's a tough one because McLean was obviously out that 1 week. He had that really big sort of minutes and score. So can he come back to that? Tigers up next. All right. So for the Tigers, like we said, this is a pretty dicey backline. So we're in a situation here where, yeah, this Tigers backline, I probably wouldn't be buying any of these guys. Am I back with audio, by the way? Tried to move and it unplugged the dodgy microphone. Yeah, but for the Tigers here. So Dream Buller, he's kind of interesting. The thing I'll caveat with the Tigers here, and we're going to do a buy-focused video as well really soon, is that the Tigers have the buy in round 13. So they're not that interesting right now. But after round 13, they are a hot team to buy players from. So keep an eye on the Tigers, keep an eye on who makes the Origin team list. And in round 14, we might be looking at a few of these players. So for the backline, Dream Buller, he'll get a bit cheaper. He had a really quiet game last week. So he could be an option we take a look at. Obviously, Lockie Galvin had a really good game. Galvin's a bit of a keeper right now. I'm going to hold Galvin for quite a while until maybe he looks like a sell, but it's nowhere anytime soon. Staines, Casey, Folletti, Alamalo. Alamalo has been playing pretty good. You could think about that. I'm probably not going to do it either. Forward pack, a few of you guys selling Itokamanu. If Itokamanu makes Origin, then he's a definite sell. Like he's a definite sell. But if Itokamanu doesn't make the Origin team, why would you? Why would you, right? Because he's got a great buy schedule. So I think, yeah, Itokamanu could be a guy to hold. Coruscant, yeah, he'll make Origin. I'm pretty confident of that. Clemmer, bit old, sort of reducing minutes. Then Papali'i, Fainu, Matamua. All right, let's talk a bit about these guys here. So Samuel Fainu, first one to note. For Fainu, I've got Fainu last week, and he was going okay. He was plugging along. He was probably going to score 40 if he got the full game. Had some cramps. Not great. Missed about the last 25 minutes of that game. So for Samuel Fainu, keep on rolling with him. Don't necessarily have to start him this week unless you want to. But for him, I think you got to hold on to him because the middle and edge cover plus the buy schedule of the Tigers makes him a must-have. Isaiah Papali'i is kind of interesting as well, but a bit pricey. We don't really need an edge right now. Yeah, cheeky pod, exactly. Lockie's mentioned it, especially the buy round 13. Yeah, for Justin Matamua, I'm worried about this spot here, right? Because I look at the bench and you've got 3 guys who have started in that spot this year. So you got Twal, Seyfarth, and Pole. All 3 have started lock this year. There is no guarantee at all that Matamua is going to keep that spot. This is the perfect scenario where you can just wait 1 week, watch him play. If he dominates and then gets named there in round 14, go and do it, right? But don't go buy Matamua right now. Rest of the team here, if you got Twal, it's fine. He'll come on at prop. I'd say you hold on to him and you still trust him to score about 40 points for you this week. If you got Seyfarth, I don't know why you do. But if you have him, then yeah, try not to start him or try to sell him off, I would say. So yeah, got Twal. Is he a hold? Yeah, I would be holding Twal right now. I think he should be okay. All right, big question here is you bought Watson at 550K. He'll be back after the Roosters by around 14. Should you hold? If you're a head-to-head player, absolutely. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, hold him for head-to-head 100%. All right, let's keep rolling through here because the rest of the Tigers team, it's not super interesting. I would hold Utoka Manu, wait for the Origin team list. I'm holding Fino. I think it's just a hold steady with most of this Tigers side. All right, let's go into the next group here. So we got big game. Oh, yeah, we love this. Manly and the Storm. And for anyone who is a little older, you'll remember the classic days of Glenn Stewart versus Adam Blair in this matchup. It's always a fiery matchup. Obviously, both are very under strength right now. But I think we'll still see a good game in this one. They always turn up. So for Manly first here, Tolu Kola, Jason Saab, Tommy Talau, Ruben Garrick, Raymond Viega. We got Luke Brooks and DCE. So it's a similar backline to last week. Obviously, Saab is back in, looking healthy. Tommy Talau, our Lord and Savior, the absolute GOAT. Ruben Garrick, red hot last week as well. Look, if you got him, enjoy the ride. If you don't have him, don't go buy him. Don't go buy him. They have a bye next week. Both these teams have the bye next week. So I wouldn't be buying many players from either of these teams for this week. For Tolu Kola, if you got him, he had an interesting game. So I thought he was absolutely killing it in that game. He was looking super dynamic. He was breaking tackles. He looked red hot. He then copped that shot where he sort of got the shoulder a bit jarred up. I think it was Dean Mariner that hit him, just sort of jamming in from his wing. And Kola looked a bit hobbled after that, right? So his scoring slowed down. He had the try assist, but overall, he really slowed down that game. So for Tolu Kola, I trust him. I still think he's going to be that 50 average for us. I think he's going to absolutely kill it in this fullback role. And I think this Storm team could potentially leak some points to him. Yeah, Mariner, the dirty dog. Exactly. No, look, it was a good shot from Mariner. He put a good shot on. He was shutting down plays all game. And then for the forward pack here, Paseka, Lawton, Aloye, Olakawatu, Ben Trebojevic, Jake Trebojevic. So again, let's have a look at this one. Look for Carl Lawton. He keeps that spot again. And do we have, let's see the extended bench. Yeah, no. So still not back. Okay, that's interesting. So Lawton seems to be keeping that spot for, well, it's been like 3 weeks now, which is kind of surprising to me. Chan Kum Tong is obviously coming on as well, so it's not big minutes, but yeah, that's really interesting. In terms of the forward pack, though, I would say, yeah, Ola Kawatu probably plays Origin. I wouldn't be buying him right now. Ben Trebojevic had a pretty good game. If you want to fall for that trap again, go and do it. Then Jake Trebojevic, he probably makes Origin, potentially. There's a lot of guys in the picture this year for the Blues. Corey Waddell was a sell and still is a sell. But there's a question here, actually. I do want to answer this one. All right, so Jacob Guy, who do you reckon have a bit of a biffo in this game? That's a great question. All right, so firstly for Manly, let's have a look through. And I've scrolled down very intentionally here. So you've got a couple of guys that are, I reckon, pretty good for the biffo. You got Nathan Brown in the 17 jersey, and you've got, I'm going to throw in Josh Aloye in the 10 jersey. So here's how I say it goes down. Actually, let's have a look at the Storm. Yeah, all right, here's how I say it goes down. Aloye comes out of the line and puts a massive shot on Nelson Asofa Solomona. So Asofa Solomona's come on early, maybe, whatever it is. He cops a big shot from Aloye. So if Solomona doesn't like it, he comes back at Aloye, and then Nathan Brown comes in, third man in, throws a punch, and that's the biffo we get, right? And then all three sin bin. That's my call. But look, it could be anyone, really. Like, it could be anyone. But Nelson's probably the guy that's going to cause it, I'd say, just with watching the way he sort of spears into the legs a lot of the time as well. Raymond here, yes. So Viega, he could be a shout for the fight as well. And as a Manly fan, you approve. Yep, good call. Bring back the biff, 100%, and shoulder charges. I do miss shoulder charges a lot, man. All right, so for the Storm side of the ball, Fa'alongo, Will Warbrick, Remus Smith, Nick Meaney, Xavier Coates. Then you got Wishart and Hughes in the halves. Okay, this is a tough one because Fa'alongo, he's been a bit rocks and diamonds. He had a good game last week. I reckon there's a good chance he has a quiet game this week. I think he could get in for a really, really low score this round. So for him, if you have other options, which I don't think you do, because David Armstrong's on a bye, Marzu's on a bye, all these guys, you could look at benching him. But at the same time, yeah, he could potentially go well as well. I don't know. I was watching him in that last game. He's very big play reliant, right? So if Manly can shut him down a little bit, then he'll have a very quiet fantasy game. Warbrick is the same, obviously. Remus Smith, all these guys in the back line, they're very big play, try scoring reliant. Wishart's the guy who's been producing points for fun, though. So, yeah, good shout as well, actually. Jahu, good reminder. Discord plug. So it just popped into the chat there. Discord link, I popped it on the screen as well. We'll put it in the description of the video later too. But join the Discord if you do want that fantasy chat. That's where we go through all these buys, hold, sells in a lot of depth. You can ask me questions. You can ask other very highly ranked coaches questions as well. About 600 of us in there right now. So if you just join that link, you can hop in and you can get a bunch more chat. So if your question isn't getting answered here, it will be answered over there. That's all I can say. Actually, this is a really good one as well. So, being completely unbiased, been arguing with your friend that Olakau'atu is better than Kikau. He isn't agreeing. You're a Manly fan. He's a Dogs fan. Who do I think is better? That is a tough question, Luke. Okay, Olakau'atu versus Kikau. Oh, and the comments are already lighting up. I reckon it's a hard one. I think Olakau'atu is the better player. I just think Olakau'atu produces more individually than Kikau does. Kikau's fantastic, by the way. And Kikau's probably, I would say Kikau's the better defender. So he's an underrated defensive player. But I just think Olakau'atu on attack produces something that basically no other back rower is able to produce other than maybe a David Feeder. So I'm going to say Olakau'atu. I hope he's in the Blues team this year. But Kikau is an absolute beast as well. All right, let's have a look here. I mentioned this here. Wishart has one game at 6 with Hughes at 7. He scored 20 points. It's a good shout, right? So when he was playing next to Munster, he's playing that 7 role. He's getting a lot more ball in his hands. He's playing next to Eli Katoa, which is a good spot to be as well. He was running the ball a ton. When he's next to Hughes, he might play more of that 6 role. He might be a little more conservative in terms of the kicking. And I think theoretically he should still be running the ball a bunch. So I don't think this 20 is reflective of what Wishart's going to do. I think for Wishart, you still can't really buy him this week. It's just a tough one to bring in a player who's going to be on the buy in the next week for this week. Especially a guy who's as uncertain as Wishart is. So if you need a guy at that price point, I don't mind you rolling the dice. But personally, I'm going to be skipping on Wishart. I'll look at it again in 2 weeks' time. That's sort of my play on him. Jerome Hughes is back. That's great news for Eli Katoa as well. Obviously feeding him on that edge. For the forward pack, Tui Kamika. We've got Harry Grant, Christian Welch, Sean Blaw, Eli Katoa, and Josh King. So firstly, big shout out to a few of these guys who produced for our fantasy sides. Harry Grant, 66 points. Now, it was 66 points with 2 tries and a try assist, right? So when I was watching the game live, I was thinking he's got to be on 80. He's got to be on 80. I saw him finish at 70. I thought, yeah, he's gonna update. He'll update to 80 for sure. And he ended up on 66. And I'm a non-Harry Grant owner, but an Eli Katoa owner. And I saw Katoa bounce up to 69, which is a nice score, right? So for Eli Katoa, like he sort of popped up. Harry Grant, I thought it was a bit of a disappointing number considering the quality of the game he had. And Sashinka, I absolutely can see your comments. I just can't make them all come up on the screen. But yeah, for Eli Katoa, big game. Harry Grant was a big game in real life. I don't know. I don't know if he can be that fantasy guy as he has been in previous years. You still got to stick with him this week. He's going to do well this week, but I think the interesting point to raise here as well, Sean Blaw, 73 minutes a game. Look, these team lists are not too crazy, right? So I remember this video. We used to do this video. We used to look at the team list, just react to those. Now this has become a full-blown, like we just talk about every single fantasy thing kind of live stream, which I like better. It's actually kind of more interesting. For the bench, though, Trent Loiero goes to the bench. Josh King is starting. Grant Anderson, Nelson Asofa-Solomona, and Alec McDonald. Only things to shout out here would be that Grant Anderson's a good one to have on there. He covers the outside back spots. So it means that we're not going to see any of the back rows move to center, which is an ideal thing. Nelson Asofa-Solomona, at some point this year, he will be a buy. And I'm not saying anytime soon, but at some point this year, he'll be a buy. And, you'll do it at a really cheap price. It's not anytime soon, but we're going to keep an eye on him. At some point, he'll grow into some bigger minutes, I would expect. Then I've got to highlight this one as well. Love your work. Vids are a highlight of the work week. Appreciate it, man. That's why we make them. Whenever I'm making a video, I just think, would I watch this? And most of the time it's a yes. Every now and then it's like, oh, maybe not. Oh, we want this, don't we? Breaking news. Longing to coach para. I would love that. Hey, like I don't know about coaching. I would love to be in the recruitment and development department instead. So looking at recruitment and just trying to sort of poach guys for the team. So if I was at Parramatta, I'd be thinking like, sorry, I've muted again. These wires are dodgy today. But why aren't Parramatta looking at Lamotti? Why aren't they looking at like a Giraffe Skelton, for example? Like one of these sort of free talents. Anyway, that's a whole other video. We'll do something around sort of Parramatta coaching at some point, and don't break the salary cap or don't get caught. That's my official stance on the salary cap as a non-coach. But the rest of the team here, look, yeah, Eli Katoa, he's an 80-minute back rower, but Sean Bloor, it's worth noting with him, he's a bit worrying to me, right? So we've got him at a nice price. He's about 650K. He's playing 73 minutes a game. And I'm just slightly worried about that, right? Why is he getting that rest at the end of games? It's just a little odd to me that they're doing that. Harry Grant, obviously, he got that rest as well last week, but that was because they're up by a big margin. But Sean Bloor has been pretty consistently that number. So I think there is a chance that at certain weeks or at certain times, Sean Bloor could be in a position where he plays less minutes. So just don't be too surprised by it when it happens at some point. But yeah, we're going to stick with him for a while. And thank you, Jacob Guy. I appreciate it, mate. All right, let's keep rolling through these teams. So next game here we've got is the Raiders and the Roosters. Jordan Rapana obviously came back. Chevy Stewart is gone from that team list. Jordan Rapana is going to keep that spot for a while. He turns it up. So he's a pretty rock solid option there for them. Would I get him for fantasy? I had him at the start of the year. Mate, I don't think I can do it. I seriously don't think I can do it. Yeah, no, I can't do it. But if you want Jordan Rapana, look, he can score 90 points in a given week, but I wouldn't be going making that move. Nick Kotrick, Matt Tomoko, Seb Chris, Xavier Savage, Ethan Strange, and KO Weeks. All right, so for the back line, look, centers, wingers, I'm not that interested in that. The halves pairing is really interesting to look at, right? So KO Weeks has been a pretty dominant half for Canberra. So last week, you look at the stat line, he had about 600 kick meters in that game, right? So he absolutely turned it up. He was absolutely dominant. And for KO Weeks, yeah, so actually there's a question from Vali. How's it going, man? Hughes a sell this week for KO Weeks. I wouldn't sell Sam Hughes this week. So just because you hold him, you get him for around 13 and around 14. So at this stage, I sold Hughes about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. But at this stage, I think he's a hold. You might as well hold him for the next 3 weeks and you get him for those buy rounds. I do think you need to go get KO Weeks. So KO Weeks is locked in, man. Like he is one of those guys, KO Weeks right now. So he just keeps pumping out kick meters. He keeps running the ball. He's such a dominant half. You got to find a way to get him, but not for Hughes. That's sort of my advice there. All right, so for the Raiders side here, yeah, look, it's interesting because Ethan Strange is just playing that pure running 6 role. He had a couple of try assists last week. He makes some runs where he looks like he's going to score tries as well. I think this is one of those weeks where we're going to see Ethan Strange score really poorly. I think the Roosters will do a job on him, and I think we're going to get maybe a 28-point game out of Ethan Strange. And I think KO Weeks might come back to earth a bit in this one too. And I'm going to say sort of 40 odd, right? So 40, maybe 45. I still sort of think that's more where he's going to fall a lot of the time. Kane raises a good point here. So you said Weeks was not that guy last week. 100%. 100%. So I definitely had a little bit of doubt in my mind about Weeks. So before I do go into this, I will caveat it. I bought KO Weeks before he'd played a game this year. So you got to believe it here. And I told you guys I was doing that. But for him, I still think that this 54 average is absolutely obscene. I think it's obscene. I don't think he's going to maintain a 54 average. My view on KO Weeks for the rest of the year is that we're going to get maybe a 45 average out of him. And that's an upgrade. So last week I was saying 40-ish. This week I'm going to say 45. I just think the kick meter base was really, really strong last week. And the run meter base is strong too. And Canberra's forward pack is pretty rock solid. So his role is more dominant than I thought it would be. I still think it's a 45 average though. I think maybe you can keep him as a wing fullback keeper, but I don't think he's going to be a keeper as the half spot, right? So for KO Weeks, go get him. He's going to make cash. He was the priority number 1 buy last week, but at the same time, what are you going to do, right? I think he's going to be that 45-point guy for the rest of the year. Okay, going through the forward pack, Emre Gula, Danny Levi, Joseph Tarpanay, Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead, Morgan Smithies. You got Starling, Mariota, Mooney, and Hola on the bench. Now, where is our friend Josh Papali'i? Let's see. Hall comes in. Oh, here we go. Suspended. How long is Papali'i suspended for? That's kind of interesting because that sort of plays into the question, right? A lot of you guys are asking about Joey Tarpanay. And yeah, Tarpanay a bye. Tarpanay are those two. Smithies losing some minutes. Tarpanay, good pot, mate. You guys are high on Tarpanay. Okay, so for Tarpanay, I worry a bit about Tarpanay. Again, so nothing against Tarpanay. So if he gets 60 minutes, he's a 60-point scorer. He is a bona fide fantasy gun. Like, bona fide fantasy gun. But will he get those minutes? Probably not, right? Especially when you've got 1 week as well, right? 1 week suspension for Papali'i. So Papali'i comes back. Is Hudson Young going to make the Origin side? Like Smithies is a pom. Whitehead's a pom. Gula's not making it. Their forward pack's not going to be affected by Origin. I just reckon Tarpanay is going to keep seeing the minutes he's getting. And I think he's going to have those big games. So you can go buy him. He'll score 70 some weeks, right? Because he just runs the ball like a monster, offloads, like does it all. But he's also going to have those games where he scores you 37, 42 points. I don't think he's the option. I think he's pretty safe option. I just don't think he's going to pop off for you. And it's been a couple of years. He's about 30 years old now, right? A couple of years since he's been getting those big minutes. I doubt he gets them anytime soon. So, yeah, steer clear on that one. Hudson Young is a kind of a more interesting pod, but obviously you don't need the edge spot usually. So, yeah, Hudson Young's a good shout. Actually, Jahu makes a good point here. 42 to 47, not that bad for a mid, honestly. Yeah, so Tarpanay doesn't really get injured much, right? So, yeah, it's a good shout. You could keep him. He's very, very consistent. And then Tarpanay only gets big minutes when they have injuries. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So he's not going to get those big minutes usually. Why can't Kiwis play Origin? I don't know how to answer this one. So it's based on states, right? So yeah, they don't let the Kiwis play. If there was a full-blown, all-out like Origin where anyone could play and it was based on, your first professional footy or whatever, I would say New South Wales probably gets a few more of those players, don't they? Just by having more clubs, right? We'd have guys like, Isaiah Papali'i and all these sorts of guys. Even like Sean Johnson would be Blues eligible, right? Because he played at Cronulla as well first. So, yeah, no go. So the rest of the Raiders team, right? Hudson Young could be a decent shout. He had a big game last week, 79 points. He's a guy who can score tries. And now that they're looking a bit more solid in attack, could be a good shout. Probably won't do it. Morgan Smithies, I've got in my team. I'm holding on to him just because Middle is cooked. Middle is absolutely cooked. He's a guy who's producing me about 40 points a week. You know what? That's good enough right now. I'm willing to roll with that. Him, Max Plath, and I've got Fainu, and then I've got Carrigan and Cotter, who for Origin are going to be tough. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with him. For the Roosters side of the ball, Jimmy Tedesco, Dan Tupou, Joe Suoli'i, Joseph Manu, Dom Young, Luke Keary, Sam Walker. And man, it's a great backline, isn't it? On paper and in real life, it's a very explosive backline. They've got the full thing back for this week. So if you got Joey Manu, look, Joey Manu is an interesting one. I really like buying Joey Manu this time of year. Normally, you get a discount on Joey Manu at this time of year. So normally it's a case of, hey, I'll buy Joey Manu because he's gotten cheaper playing center. This year he's like plus 150K. It is something insane, right? We're paying big money for Joey Manu. You've also got the buy in round 14, but he will absolutely kill it in round 13 when he's at fullback. And he's that captain option at fullback too. So for Joey Manu, if you want to make that move, it's a big pod. It's a big pod. You've got the spare cash. I don't mind that at all. But also there's a bit of risk in that. Dom Young is another one to talk about here. For Dom Young, I don't think you can do it this week. I think it's too late. I think that the ship has sailed, and you probably should have got him 2 weeks ago when I was saying he was that top pod. Last week was kind of the last week to do it. This week, it's gone, right? His price is sort of going to go up and down across his career, and he's on the up right now, and you're paying a big price for him. Probably wouldn't do it right now. So skip Dom Young. Keary, Sam Walker. Keary's back. Keary's got a 10-point game the other week, so it's kind of interesting. And actually, so I've just seen the forward pack for you guys talking about Nat Butcher. Let's go through that, right? So Jared Reed-Hargraves, Brandon Smith, Lindsay Collins, Angus Crichton, Victor Radley, and Naafu White. This is a crazy forward pack. What are they doing? What are they doing? Oh my God, why is he cutting that Butcher? Yeah, a lot of questions about that. Okay, so what's going on here? And good shout, Mike. Getting on Dom Young, mate. Genius move. Okay, so with this forward pack, I mean, I'm just going to try and make it make sense. So no Connor Watson this week. That should have been fine. That should have meant Radley goes to lock. What's on the bench here? So Nat Butcher is down here at number 19. Suo Wong at number 20. What the hell is going on? I'm speechless. I'm honestly speechless. All right, so I went to last week thinking, you know what? We're going to see Victor Radley play on the edge a little bit. I was thinking that it'd be Gus Crichton 80 minutes, Nat Butcher 60 minutes on the edge, and then Radley would slide in to the edge spot when Connor Watson would be playing lock. That's kind of what I thought would happen. But he's just been completely dropped. I'm sorry. I'm seriously confused. A lot of you guys are throwing theories. Throw your theories in right now. So Robbo's panic dropping Butcher just because they lost to the best team in the comp. What the F is he doing? Lots of Butcher questions. Peter's throwing some stuff up there I probably can't throw onto the stream. You want to sell Crichton because he's so expensive. Don't do that yet. Just give it another week. Then Robinson has lost it. Yeah. White is in because Watson got injured, last second injured. Radley moved to lock on game day, in your opinion. Interesting. Very interesting. I think you want Sandon Smith for back coverage. Yeah, it doesn't mean that the Butcher should be dropped, though. Someone send Robbo to nursing home. These are too good. Maybe he's hurt himself or unwell. Rested. Robson. Robbo hates fantasy coaches. Cheese. Shifting to 13s. Misses too many tackles. Is Radley a buy? Do I hold or sell Butcher? Oh, did you buy Butcher? That is brutal. I'd hold him for 1 week. Just wait for round 13 because Gus Crichton probably plays Origin and he'll play that game. Nat played well against Teague Wilton last week too. Just trying something different. I actually think that's the best one. So just trying something different. That's a good answer. Hopefully that's what it is because that's kind of fun. He's just sort of mucking around. And last one here, rotation to reduce wear and tear might pay off in the finals. Yeah, it's a good shout. Talkie might have gotten dropped previously. So there are all the reasons. My assumption is I think this team changes on game day. I just don't really understand. So Nat Butcher being dropped is okay. Like you can make that move, but why wouldn't you bring in an edge back rower? So Suo Wong to come in, for example. Egan Butcher's on the bench. He's an edge. Like it's a really strange setup for them. Maybe we were talking about this a few weeks ago. Maybe it's a case of them having too many middles and them just wanting to keep those guys in the roster. Because we talked about that, right? So recently Spencer Leniu came back. Warrior Hargraves, he came back. Obviously Terrell May's been there for a while. Maybe they just want to keep those guys in the roster and they just want to have their best 13 on the field and they don't care about positions. That could be the play as well. So if you have Nat Butcher, hold him for 1 week and then reassess in round 13. Brandon Smith, a few guys talking about buying, selling, whatever it is, Brandon Smith. At this point, if you have Brandon Smith, you've copped such a beating on the price, you might as well hold on, right? Because he's just gotten so cheap. You might as well hold on, wait for the bounce back and hope for it. And if it doesn't happen, so be it. But for Brandon Smith, would I buy him? I would absolutely not buy him. No, don't trust him at all. Victor Radley, is he a buy? I don't think so. His minutes have really gone down a lot. And this forward pack is just bad for minutes, man. Like, unless you're Gus Crichton, it is a nightmare for the minutes. None of them are producing anything consistently. So, yeah, skip all of that Roosters chat. All right, next one here. We've got the Sharkies and the Panthers. And this should be a good game. This should be a really good game. I'd say you'd have to say Cronulla are the favorites, right? Like you'd have to be sort of thinking that. So for Cronulla, it's William Kennedy, Sione Katoa, Jesse Ramian, Kale Iro, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Daniel Atkinson, and then Nico Hines. Right. So what are we going to do here? Look, backline is exactly the same. Kale Iro is a beast, man. He just keeps on producing. 50 points last week. Absolutely rock solid. Atkinson, you don't want to start him in weeks when Nico Hines is playing. So try to steer clear of that. Nico Hines, this is fine. I wouldn't be worried about this at all. So Penrith are a good team, but Nico Hines is kind of matchup proof. It's Penrith without Nathan Cleary and without Brad Schneider. That's the same Penrith team that lost to the Warriors last week. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for Nico. I think he'll be fine. If he scores 50, then so be it. But I think he'll be fine. I think he scored about a 70-point game in this one. So my head right now is at captaining Nico. That's probably what I'm going to do. Whereas, Gussie Crichton, I mean, who's he going to be up against, actually? Just jump back to Gus. On the Raiders side of the ball, it'll be Whitehead or Young. Yeah, theoretically, Gus Crichton could have a big game as well in that one. So if you do like that, I don't mind the bounce back for him. For the forward pack, Tommy Hazleton, try-scoring extraordinaire, good-looking rooster. We love a baldy on this podcast. We have a strong bias for bald players, and Tom Hazleton is a prime contender for that spot. Blake Brayley, Oregon Kafusi. Actually, we should make that a segment on Instagram, like bald player of the week or top 3 bald players of the week. I'm going to throw that in, actually. Mark Nichols is always going to be number 1, but Hazleton can compete for the second spot. All right, so then we got Nikora, Wilton, and McInnes. Those guys coming in. Yeah, look, good shouts, good forward pack. Oregon Kafusi, a few of you guys were looking at him a few weeks ago. Had a bit of a quiet one last week. He's just not that guy, right? So if McInnes is playing lock, you could look at the bench, right? Jack Williams, Talakai, Royce Hunt, and Howard Tapua. They're all good players. They're all good players. So, yeah. Oh, good question. Name 5 ball players right now. Okay. And you guys can chuck stuff into the comments as well, but I'll throw some in. We'll go Tommy Hazleton first. We'll throw in Mark Nichols to the list. My head always goes to Blake Ferguson and to Tim Manor, even though they're a bit out of date as references. Did Nate Miles have a bald head at some point? Yep. Dylan Edwards, good shout. Felice Kafusi, very good option. Jazz Tavanga, that's another one. Dylan Walker is one I'll throw in here as well. Hazleton, yep. So Gutho when he goes bald, absolutely. Hodgson, yeah, good shout. Anyway, they're the bald players, so hopefully I think that was a few more than 5. And Reese Wesser, of course, we'll give him a shout too. But yeah, for the forward pack, look, if you have Nikora, I'm not going to stress too much about this one, right? So I didn't buy Nikora in any of my teams, but if you have Nikora, that's fine, man. He scores a bit like a center for fantasy, and I think you just got to ride the waves, right? So you'll have those big games where he scores a bunch of tries. He'll have those quiet games where he doesn't, but you just got to live with that one. Then Teague Wilton, Cam McInnes. Yeah, if you got McInnes, it's a bit dicey. So McInnes, wait a week. He could make the Origin side. There's a chance that him or Connor Watson can make that Origin side. Watson obviously in a later series game, but McInnes is a good shout for game 1. So if he makes Origin, you probably want to be looking elsewhere at that spot. Williams, Talakai, Royce Hunt, Tapua. Yeah, look, if Talakai ever gets that center spot back, he's getting to a good price, so I don't mind that shout. And then we got the Panthers side of the ball. Dylan Edwards, Sunia Taruva, Isaac Tungo, Paul Alamoti keeps his spot, Brian Toe, Jack Cole, Jerome Luai. All right, so on the Panthers side of the ball, it's a very similar team to last week. Alamoti had a really quiet game last week. He's got about 13 fantasy points, got a rest in that one as well. Peachy came in to the side to give him a rest. Now, for this Panthers team, what am I interested in here? So first things first, Isaac Tungo. Got to talk about Isaac Tungo. Tungo had a good game last week. He's at a really nice price point as well. So for Tungo, if you want a center right now, I think Tungo is a great shout. Probably doesn't make Origin. It's not a guarantee, but he probably doesn't. But if he has a massive game in this one, it could potentially influence selections as well. But I would say that Ramian is ahead of him for that spot. So I think Tungo is a fair buy. If you want to get on him and you've got a spot to move to, I like that a lot. Alamoti, now that he had that low score, probably wouldn't make that move now. Just wait a week, see how he goes. We don't know how long Taylor May is going to be out for, but Taylor May could be out for the whole season, theoretically, right? Like I have no idea. He could also be out for a lot less. And this is a good shout, actually, we won't go to the forwards yet. Jerome Luai is the other one to talk about. So Luai got the 50 with the try last week as a dominant playmaker. Doesn't scream must buy. Totally agree. I was on the pod with Jay-Z, a good mate, and we were sort of arguing about this exact points. We were sort of talking about Luai versus Cody Walker. Luai was looking red hot early in that game. I was on the Cody Walker sort of side of the fence. Walker had a big game, right? I think they're going to sort of alternate between each other, but they're both at a pretty nice price point. The risk is that Luai could make the Origin side just on experience there. So I wouldn't buy Luai this week. Also, Cronulla is not a great matchup for him either. So, yeah, skip that one. Then yeah, for Cole, I'm not that interested in Cole. Schneider will be back soon. A few of you guys mentioned that you almost got Fisher Harris last week. Fisher Harris was a bit of a trap, wasn't he? So Leota and Fisher Harris, the props. Mitch Kenny at hooker, Scott Sorensen, Martin, and Yo. So Sorensen's back into that starting side, and we've got no sign of Luke Garner at all. Is he on the bench, extended bench? He is nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. Is Garner starting side, returning from the injury? Yeah, he just misses out. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's a good sign. So for Scott Sorensen, that's great news. That makes Sorensen a lot more, because a few of you guys are asking questions about Sorensen, and I was thinking it's a firm no. But now looking at that team list and thinking about how that plays out, the only risk there is that Lindsay Smith has played pretty comfortably in the edge back row spots. So he could theoretically sort of come back into that spot. I think Sorensen's not a bad shout. What's his break even? Good question. So if someone can find Sorensen's break even, check that out. He covers that middle spot, which a lot of us need. Here we go, 57-point break even. I'm not rushing to do it. I want to do a bit more analysis, but theoretically, Sorensen could just jump right back into being that guy. I've got him in a few draft leagues, actually, where I've just sort of kept him sitting there for a while now, and he's back in. Obviously, he's going to play maybe 80 minutes in this game, or so close to it. So, yeah, no, for Sorensen, it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. He's probably behind King for me in terms of who I prefer, but in a week's time, if he plays 80 minutes, I might look at him next week. All right. So actually, you know what would be a good shout? Cotter for Sorensen next week if Sorensen plays 80 minutes this week. That's probably where my head is at right now. Okay. And a lot of you guys asked about Latrell. We're on the bunnies. Wait for the bunnies. Come on, guys. But for the rest of the team here, Isaiah Yo, he had the sin bin and he had a try. So I thought he was going to have a quiet game for once, and he just ruined that. Rest of the bench, I'm not that interested in those guys. All right, next team here, Bunnies and the Eels. So here it is. All right, you guys were asking about Latrell because you knew he was up next. Do I think that Latrell will make Origin? Okay, I'm a bit of a Latrell truther, right? So I think that Latrell, if we're picking an Origin team and we want a center, you have to take Latrell, man. You have to take Latrell. Like, he's one of the best center. He's probably the best center in the game. I would call that right now. So, yeah, no, Latrell, he's got to be picked for Origin if he wants to play. Now, there was talk that he was trying not to play Origin this year, so maybe he doesn't make the team. We have a new coach as well in Madge, so maybe he doesn't like him. Who knows? It could be absolutely anything. If I was picking the team, I would pick Latrell in a heartbeat because I just think he's the most dominant center on the planet. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. We don't really know what Madge thinks. We're going to find out in a week's time. Should you buy Latrell is the other question that I assume this is leading into. No. Do not buy Latrell. Don't buy Latrell, right? And I get that the Eels matchup is attractive, right? The Eels can't tackle anything. I'm a Para supporter, so I'm allowed to say it. They just haven't been able to do anything on defense. So Latrell could tear up in this game, but then they have the bye in round 13. Just wait on this one. Latrell, I'm very interested, but wait on Latrell. Then going through the team here, oh, wow. So Johnston, Milne, Cheekham, and Gagai, it's a brutal back line, but then you get into Jack Whiten and Cody Walker as your halves. Okay, is Whiten a buy? Good question. Is Whiten a buy? Good question. Is Whiten a buy in round 14? Good question. Is Whiten a buy? Good question. Whiten, new position. Thoughts? Good question. Is Whiten a buy? Good question. Okay, a few people want to know if Whiten is a buy. I think you can afford to wait a week. So with Jack Whiten, again, we've got one game and then they have a bye and then they come back. For Jack Whiten, there's a small risk that he makes the Origin team, but he's retired from rep footy, so he's probably not going to, right? But at some point, let's say they got desperate game 3, maybe he could, but probably not. So yeah, I'm going to say Jack Whiten, he doesn't make Origin. He's available at center. If he's a starting half, that's interesting. If they can win this game, I would look at buying him after the round 13 bye. So yeah, watch and see. Just hold Whiten. Don't worry about it too much. He's like a high 30s average at half. So he's actually not that effective at that spot anyway. So I wouldn't stress it too much. I think Cody Walker will be the dominant half in this team. I think Cody Walker it doesn't change much for him. Jack Whiten was next to Fogarty when Fogarty was scoring 50 points a week. So, no, I think Cody Walker can still keep producing. I think he'll do most of the kicking in this team. Thing to note here is Latrell Mitchell actually had like 250 kick meters last week. So Latrell being back in the team actually does minimize the upside of those kick meters. But Cody Walker, if he's playing good attacking footy, he's still value buy. A few of you guys asking about Damien Cook as well. So forward pack, Moale and Kepi are the props. Cook at hooker. You got Host, Arrow, and then Kalamatangi at lock. Like they just keep doing different stuff, Souths. Okay, this is weird. So Damien Cook, first thing first. Mama Zealous is coming on. Cook is staying on the field. I don't know. I like Cook. I like Cook. I want to see Cook play 80 minutes in this game. What would I do with Cook? You could do it now. It's just he has the bye again. Like they have the bye really soon. I think you can cop it. Wait one more week, see how they play out, and if Cook plays close to 80 minutes, then you can go buy him after the bye. And just quickly back on White and 46 career average. Yeah, so 46 career average at 5'8". I'm more talking about recent form. So I think if you look at his numbers last year, I think it was more like a 39. So he's sort of been on the slide a bit in older age, where he's had that Dally M season like 2019, 2019, where he had a much higher average. So is Cody Walker a buy is the question there then, right? He was on the pods list last week. I wouldn't buy him this week. Wait 1 week, wait for the buy. I'm not buying. Actually, that's the answer to all these guys, right? For South Sydney, every single one is wait a week. Then they got the buy and then buy them around 14. There we go. Yeah, so summed it up. Wait 1 week. That's pretty much the play for all these guys. It's the same with Arrow. It's the same with Kalamatangi, all these guys. I actually don't think Kalamatangi's scores improve at lock. I don't think he stays at lock long term. I don't think he stays at lock for the whole of this game. I think I look at the bench and I think Tallis Duncan will play 40 minutes of lock. It'll mean that, maybe, I don't know, Jacob Host comes off or Jai Arrow goes to prop or something different, right? So let's just watch the minute rotations here, but it's wait a week on everything in South Sydney. For the Eels, Blaze Talangi, Mike Acevo, Will Penasini, Sean Russell, Bailey Simonson, Dejan Arce, Dylan Brown. Backline is pretty much the same as last week. Obviously, Brad Arthur's been sacked, which is, it's a big one, right? So as a Para fan, what do you do here, right? So obviously Brad Arthur, so I joined as a member of Parramatta after the 2013 season. So Brad Arthur actually became coach the year I became a member at Parramatta. It's bloody 10, 11 years ago. So no, I love Brad Arthur, man. Like I think he did a great job at Parramatta. I think he was a fantastic builder of the club. I think we won the Spoon back-to-back seasons before he came. And he sort of turned us into a top 4 side for a while there. Had some injuries recently, but I think BA was fantastic for Parramatta. I think there's a chance, there's a chance that this was the right decision right now. So obviously it's been quite a while in that spot. Parramatta are on the slide a bit. They've made the call. I'm optimistic for the future, but for Brad Arthur, I'll remember him fondly. He's a legend of the Parramatta club to me, and he really sort of took us from being a bit of a piece of shit club to being one that was, a real contender for a while there, and is set up well for the future with a great spine. So I love BA. He's a good shout. Now for this Parramatta team, look, Blaze is in, but Gutho's going to be back soon. You've got the back line. Penasini is interesting when Moses comes back. So keep an eye on Penasini. He's getting nice and cheap. I actually don't mind that. I don't really like the rest of it. Dylan Brown, it's a bit too late to buy him now. He was the buy like bloody 8 weeks ago. Forward pack, RCG, Joey Larsick, Junior Polo, Sean Lane, Ryan Madison, Jermaine Hopgood. I'm kind of surprised that Joey Larsick has stayed in the team, if I'm being honest. Maybe Brandon Hands comes into the team at the last minute. Lussick has had some good games, Parramatta, but he has been struggling a bit on defense the last few weeks, and I'm pretty shocked he's still in there. Then for Madison on the edge, look, Cartwright's on the bench, right? So I wouldn't read into it too much. I reckon we have some game day swaps in this team list. I think this was a pretty quick team list for Trent Barrett to name. He's going to watch and see at training who's responding well to the news. He'll probably go and tell the boys, hey, this is a chance to play for your spot, right? So it's fresh. It's fresh. We've got a new coach coming in. At some point, I have no idea who is going to be that coach. Longy for coach. Longy for coach? Yeah. If I keep saying it'll happen. But yeah, no, they'll be playing for their spots, right? Theoretically, a new coach could mean that Madison could be that guy who plays 80 minutes on the edge. We could get more minutes for him. So he's a guy I'll be keeping an eye on. I don't think it affects anyone else too much for this team. A lot of questions about Hopgood. So Lockie here comes in with, do you think Hopgood will make Origin? Yeah, I think he does, right? So the injury to Tino in particular, they want someone dynamic in the team. I think they pick Hopgood, but it's probably about a 50-50 call right now because he is a pretty pure lock. Like, he's not really a prop. So, he sort of has to come on in a team where they've got Carrigan already, who is the automatic prop. And, yep, TCA Discord, Paracoach. Yeah, jump on Discord, guys. We'll put the description, put that in as well. Actually, Jahu, just chuck the link in there for the Discord because that's where we do all the chat fantasy. That's where you can talk to me more as well. That's the spot to be. You can come in there for free, or you can pay for upgrades to get like one-to-one fantasy coaching as well. Totally up to you. I'm chill either way. For the rest of the bench here for Parramatta, Bryce Cartwright, Makatoa, Offhand Gowie, Kelma Tuolangi. Yeah, look, nothing interesting there for Parramatta. Madison's the guy to watch. I think he'll be fine this week. And yep, there's the link to Discord. It's in the chat on the side as well. So I'll just leave that up there. All right, game on here. We go into Sunday, 2 p.m. game. We got the Broncos and the Titans. Look, these Queensland derbies are always a lot of fun. As a non-Queenslander, I just reckon you guys put on an absolute show in these games. So good shout. This will be a good one. For the Broncos, obviously Reece Walsh comes back. You've got Corey Oates, Josiah Karapani, Selwyn Covo, and then Dean Mariner. And you've got Ezra Mam and Jock Madden. Look, Reece Walsh should theoretically just tear up in this game. Like, really, he should just tear up. And I'm guessing that you're a Broncos fan, Paddy, just based on that display picture. But obviously, you love Reece Walsh. I love Reece Walsh for fantasy this week as well. I think Reece Walsh will absolutely kill it. Would I captain him? No, absolutely not. No way. But at the same time, I think he's going to absolutely crush it. Rest of the back line, I'm not super interested. You've got Cobbo, who's going to make Origin. You've got Katoni Staggs out now. Like, what's the news on Katoni Staggs, actually? So, fullback. Staggs with a fractured rib against Manly. Okay, that's actually really tough to play with. So we've seen how Bryce Cartwright has struggled to come back from his fractured rib. I think Katoni Staggs could be a bit in and out of the team over the next few months. Do not buy Katoni Staggs for your fantasy side, obviously. That goes without saying. But Karapani, I wouldn't trust him either to keep that spot. So I would steer clear of that. So Reece Walsh is going to kill it. I'll probably have to think about selling him next week after the Origin games sort of start coming through. And then, yeah, good shout. Talau fractured his rib. That's because Talau is a beast. Talau is the player of all players, man. Like, Tommy Talau, you can't beat him. You might as well join him. All right. So let's go through the forward pack here. Corey Jensen, Billy Walters, Payne Haas, Brendan Piakura, Jordan Ricky, Paddy Carrigan. Okay, so Piakura last week, 36 points, scored the try. Would have been about 21 points without the try. So he's not that great fantasy scorer right now. Should you hold Piakura? I think if you have this long, you might as well. If you've got a really good trade that you want to make for him, go and do it because they don't play round 13. But if there's nothing shouting out at you, he's worth holding if you want to. I personally have moved off him myself, but yeah, if you've got a move that you want to make with him, make the move. I'm indifferent, basically. Like, you can hold him. He is underpriced. He will make money at some point, but he's not convincing at all. For the rest of the team here, look, Payne Haas comes back in. He popped that little injury last week. He's all good. Probably reduced minutes in this game would be my guess. Pat Carrigan played 80 minutes last week, which was fantastic. I wouldn't expect him to do it again this week. I think we'll see Carrigan with some lighter minutes. I've just realized we're about to look into the Titans, which I'm excited to see with Jolliffe out because there's going to be quite a few changes. So let's go over there because the bench for the Broncos is nothing too crazy. Xavier Wilson could be a good shout to hold through Origin, but I wouldn't go buy him right now is the answer to that one. So Titans side of the ball. Keeney, Cam Pereira, Kelly, Fafita, Francis. Okay. I need to figure out what sides of the field these guys are going to play on. So if we have any Titans fans watching right now, Cam Pereira and Kelly are probably on the left, which means that we're going to see Fafita and Francis on the right. Who is running on the left for the Broncos? Is Cobo on the left, or will that be Karapani? I'm trying to think. I know Marina's on the right, so Oates be on the left, and either Cobo or Karapani. Anyway, I think that could be a vulnerable edge, right? So Jojo Fafita at center could be pretty dicey, and Tony Francis. I don't know that player that well, but usually younger outside back means a bit of challenge in defense. We've got Chris Randall and Tom Weaver. So yeah, Karapani. There we go. Karapani on the left. Karapani could be a good shout then for an anytime try scorer in this game, if you want to have a think about that. Or potentially Corey Oates as well. Good shout. But yeah, Chris Randall, Tom Weaver. We got Mo Fodawaker, Sam Verrills, Josiah Bahulu, Dave Fafita, Bo Firma, Cleese Huss. Okay. And then Keenan Palacia, Isaac Liu, Aaron Clark, Joe Simpson. So when Jolliffe got hurt, and Jolliffe is out for, I've heard, between 2 and 8 weeks. Actually, I don't have confirmation on my side, but I've been at work all day, so I might have missed it. When Jolliffe got ruled out, I sort of thought, you know what, there might be some minutes on offer for someone in this team. Fodawaker is being mentioned in the chat here. So Jared's mentioned him. I don't think Fodawaker is the guy. I wouldn't be doing that. Fodawaker hasn't translated to any sort of minutes really in this team, and the minutes haven't been translated to points. Pahulu, is he the guy? I need to look into this. I don't think so necessarily. You've got like Palacia, Liu, Aaron Clark. If Aaron Clark gets minutes, he gets points, but he's not getting the minutes. Maybe there isn't a buy here. Maybe there isn't a buy. I don't really trust any of it, to be honest. I think wait 1 week, see how it plays out. We've got to figure out what the injury is as well for Jolliffe. But at this stage, I think you want to steer clear of this whole forward pack. Even Dave Fafita, he's not great at backing up from Origin and scoring big fantasy points. So I had him last year, rounds 1 to 27. Great year with him, but there was a week where he backed up from Origin and scored 15 points. So, yeah, steer clear. Yeah, I'm steering clear of all of it. Aaron Clark, if you got to start on game day, I'd buy Aaron Clark, but he's not looking likely to do it, so no go. All right, Warriors and the Dolphins should be a cracker as well. So the Warriors in some good form. Dolphins got the win too. 2 winning teams from last week. Warriors upset the Panthers with this team. Man, the Warriors haven't been able to beat anyone. And then they just came out and beat Penrith. Like that is bonkers, man. Like, good on the Warriors, man, especially at Magic Round, pulling off that sort of upset. So cool. So backline here, Tuapiki, he was on fire last week, absolutely on fire. Then we got Watene Zalesniak, Rocco Berry, Adam Pompey, Marcelo Montoya, and you go into the halves with Chancellor Klokstad and Tamari Martin. Now, Tamari Martin was a dominant half in that game, scored about 65 fantasy points. How long is Sean Johnson out for? I don't know. I think it's like a couple of weeks, right? So he'll be back after the bye, around 14, something like that. It's not long enough really to be interested. But if SJ was out for longer, Tamari Martin would actually be really interesting because he's just got that dominant half role automatically. You then got Chancellor Klokstad as well. So he scored about 55 points, but he was on like 55 after 55, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, if you got CNK, enjoy the ride. I wouldn't go and buy him, though, for this half spot because he's not going to keep it long term. Rest of the back line here. Oh, that sucks. Ali Leotawa. Is he on the extended? Is he hurt? Ali Leotawa was really good last week. I really liked him. Paul Roach. I think it's just that they're bringing back the starters transparently. So Rocco Berry comes back in. He's just the experienced starter. But Ali Leotawa, he did pick up that niggle in that game as well. I just thought he was fantastic. So keep an eye on him. He's very, very elusive. Then for the rest of the forward pack here, Fanua Blake, Freddie Lussick, Bunty Afoa, Jackson Ford, Mitch Barnett, Dylan Walker. And there we go. Yeah, ankle injury for Leotawa. Fair enough. So for the forward pack here, look, Fanua Blake had a really quiet game last week. He just got less minutes. He got less minutes than usual. I don't know if it was a planned rest. Obviously, no Tohu Harris last week or this week as well. So maybe Fanua Blake goes back to that. I wouldn't go buy Fanua Blake, but if I had him, I wouldn't sell him either, right? He's just one of those guys where you have to ride those highs and lows. He scored like 5 tries this year as a prop. So you're getting those big, big scores, but you're also going to cop some of these lower ones as well. So don't worry about Fanua Blake. He could go and do it again this week, or he could go and score 80 points. That's the dice roll you have with him, basically. Then for the rest of the team, look, Freddie Lussick comes in. Egan's out this week. I don't think it's going to be super long-term for Egan. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about buying Freddie Lussick. Jackson Ford, Mitch Barnett, Dylan Walker. Would I go get Dylan Walker is the question, or Jazz Tavanga, a few of you mentioned as well. I don't think Tohu Harris is out for that long. So Tohu will come back at some point and he'll just come eat some minutes, right? So no, I wouldn't be buying either of these guys. I don't really trust either of them. Jazz Tavanga is a good footy player, man. And Dylan Walker's good footy. They're good footy players, both these guys, but they just don't seem to lock down the consistent spot that I want out of one of the fantasy buys that I'm going to get onto. So yeah, no go for them. For the Dolphins side of the ball, Dolphins have an amazing buy schedule. Really good buy schedule. Tohu back after the buy. Good shout, Adam. But for the Dolphins, Hamiso, Jermaine Osako, Jack Avarillo, Herbie Farmworth, Jack Bostock, Cody Nikarima, and Isaiah Katoa. So Hamiso came back and looked just as good as when he finished up. That guy is a freak, man. That guy is an absolute freak. So for Hamiso, you're not going to buy him for fantasy, but bloody hell is he good to watch. Trey Fuller, he'll come in because Hamiso will make Origin, I would say. So Trey Fuller will play round 13. So for you guys asking about him, hold on to Trey Fuller for this round 13 buy. That's the big one. Katoa, is he a hold or should you get a better half? I would probably keep Katoa at least for round 13. Again, so the answer to most of these questions this week is going to be, hey, do they play round 13? Yes, buy them. Hey, do they play round 13? They don't play round 13? Don't go buy them. That's basically the answer, right? We're going to do a buy strategy video as well. So I'm going to be filming that tonight. It'll go live about midday tomorrow. So it'll go into deep buy strategy. So make sure you've subscribed to the channel. Chuck TCA a sub, and you'll see all those videos. We do buy, hold, sell at 7 a.m. tomorrow as well. That's where you get more in-depth analysis of these fantasy players. So for the forward pack for the Dolphins, actually, wait, I can't skip over this. I'm sorry, guys. Herbie Farmworth. I'm a Herbie Farmworth believer. The guy runs like 150 to 170 meters a game. He just has a big work rate, big attacking ability. Last week, the ball was going out the back. He was throwing it over the sideline. Nikarima was throwing it over the sideline. They're all throwing it behind each other. That edge looked like absolute trash. It looked like absolute trash. Look, Herbie, it wasn't a great week for him. Am I going to panic? No, I'm not going to panic. They're going to figure it out. It's going to be okay. Look, the Warriors are a team that can concede some points down the edges as well. So Herbie should be fine this week. I would not worry about it. Don't go buy him, obviously. Like I did. I got the 47-point game, and then I got like the 20. Actually, it was a 32, right? So the 32 isn't terrible, but it's just not as good as I was hoping for. Forward pack here: Jesse Bromwich, Jerry Marshall King, Mark Nichols, what a gun, Felice Kafusi, Ewan Aitken, and Max Plath. And don't we love to see Max Plath is back? The big, the bad Max Plath. All right, that is a relief. That is an absolute relief. Him coming back is good. Look, will he get the big minutes in this game? The bench is not friendly for Max Plath. It's really not friendly, but I think he'll be fine. You got to start him in your middle spot each week. Don't stress. Don't overthink it. Just start him, and we're cool. So for the rest of this team here, look, Felice Kafusi, Ewan Aitken. Ewan Aitken's been on a lot of form. Number 10 for the Dolphins is a buy. Yes, I am. Yeah, no, Mark Nichols. I wouldn't be buying Mark Nichols, but he keeps scoring tries, man. So if you can keep doing that, then, mate, so be it. For the rest of the team here for the bench, look, Conley Lemuelu is an interesting one. So he's down at a nice price right now, but you can't trust it on the bench. You absolutely can't trust it. But for Lemuelu, what do? Right? Like, you can't go buy him because he could play low minutes any given week. But fuck, he's a good player. He's such a good player. Yeah, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can buy him, but he's a good shout. Some other questions. Thank you, Geography Greg. Appreciate it, mate. Tohu to Drinkwater. Yeah, if you need the wing fullback and you don't need the middle, I don't mind that. Is that our last game of the week as well? Yes, it is. All right, cool. I'll open up some questions now. So if you guys have questions for your specific team or interesting trade questions, whatever it is, shoot them through now. I'm happy to answer some of those, and then I'm going to go record a bunch of videos after that too. So let's have a look at these. All right, trade request time. Let's go. Sako next week by. He looked a little ginger a few times in that game. I'm probably going to say no right now, but you could look at it. We'll look at it next week. I'm not that high on it. Who should I trade Turbo for? God, that's open-ended. Watch, buy, hold, sell. So any of these really broad questions, I'm just going to tell you to watch the buy, hold, sell video where we talk about 25 different players. That goes live at 7 a.m. tomorrow. All right, Eli Katoa buy. Ooh, so I've been on Katoa since round 1. Love him. He's a bit attacking stat reliant for a back rower, but the 55 average is really nice. I would look at it after the round 13 buy. So after round 13. Would you hold or sell Stefano? I would hold Stefano, and if he doesn't make the Origin team, I think you hold him through the Origin period. Who is your buy of the week? Tough thing about this one is I come into this video not having seen team lists, and I look at them live, so I don't really pre-review them. But if I was thinking of a buy of the week right now, it's going to be someone who's playing round 13. So I'm actually considering not making any trades this week at all. That's a consideration of mine. I think Max King might be the buy of the week. I need to look at the numbers a bit more. But I think for the middle spot, everyone's pretty desperate there. I think Max King could be it. Cotter and Paddy is sells. This is what I'm looking at right now. So that plays into Max King. They are, but probably next week is the time to do it. Is Jamin a hold? I get that the buy schedule is good, but I think he's going to really sneak it up. I think you're going to get like 15 points off him. I would sell him, but there's a world where he could work really well. What's buy of the week? Watch, buy, hold, sell video. Peer credit Max King, yes. Cook, Mahoney, or JMK. Also, guys, by the way, if you like asking these questions, join the Discord. Join the Discord. That's the spot. We have a lot more chat. You can actually ask those questions directly, and we can talk through all these different options. So, Jahu, maybe just check the Discord link into the channel here as well while I'm talking about these. But for these guys, look, Mahoney is rock solid, man. He's rock solid. I think he's the top option. I like Cook more than I like JMK. That's my answer to that one. I only have Brayley as a hooker. I still get 17 scorers because of my emergencies. No, you will not. You need a hooker to come into that spot. I only have Brayley. Yep, no, you won't. You reckon Curran has made his money? Yeah, I think he has. I think you got to hold him right now, obviously, because he plays 13 and 14. But have a look at it after that. Picker and Carrigan to King and Nakora. I don't think Nakora. I'm not a big fan of the Nakora move. Carrigan to King makes some sense, but Picker to Nakora. The low score last week. I'm a bit off it. Have Turbo and 74k. I don't know. Watch, buy, hold, sell. Carrigan to Pikura and King to Sorensen. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. So Carrigan to King, you've freed up some cash, and then Pikura to Sorensen is an upgrade. I think that's a good shout. And they've really hooker. No, you won't. Max, you got to stop spamming that question, man. Then is Ira still worth buying? Oh man, you're so late. Yes, he is. But if I was you, I wouldn't buy him. I think you're too late. I think you need to go get someone else. Go get like Isaac Tungo or something instead. All right, need a hooker with Brayley out this week. Who would you get? I've got Robson in my team. Who would I get right now? Damn, you actually need a hooker. That's hard. That's actually really hard. JMK is kind of interesting. Damien Cook is the one I'm really into, but for round 14. Mahoney is a good shout, but then you only get one hooker in round 13. So if you get Marnie, then you'll only be able to play one of those guys for round 13. So that's a bit dicey. Probably Damien Cook is my answer to that. It's a bit risky, but I like it. All right, Jolliffe to Collar, Pierre to Lukey. Yeah, they're a bit risky, but they're good moves. Then you can afford anyone in any position head-to-head playing buy rounds. I mean, Hines, unless he plays Origin. That's a really hard one to answer. Who would you bring in out of JMK, Matthew Cook? Yeah, you already asked that one. Guys, you got to ask once, please. I mistakenly picked up Meany instead of Garrick about 3 weeks ago. Do I bite the bullet and trade Meany for Garrick? Basically the same by implications, or just hold Meany? I would sell Meany. Garrick's not a bad buy. I think you could make that move. That's fine. Madison, a good buy. The new coach situation is really dicey. So I think Madison will benefit from the coaching change, but there's a chance that he also gets hurt by it. So wait 1 week, watch Parramatta, see how they go, and then make that call. Is Manu a buy for round 13, especially with possibly out for Origin? Yeah, Manu's a good shout. He's pretty expensive, but he's a good buy. And then I'm going to go 5 more questions here. So what's interesting? Thoughts on Luciano Leilua this week for draft? Luciano has the ability to average 50 points. I've stashed him on the bench in a couple of leagues. And if he starts and he plays big minutes, he's a great option for draft. So I like that. Then thoughts on Coruscant at 550K. So he's carrying a few niggles here and there. I wouldn't be buying Coruscant, but I also would rethink selling him. Wait and see what happens with the Origin team list next week. I think Coruscant should be in the Blues team, right? Like he surely should be in the Blues team. But yeah, for Coruscant, I would sit still on that one until I see Origin team lists. This week, I have no hooker. Egan HIA, trade for Marnie or Cook. You have Brayley. Okay, so again, with that one, Brayley and Marnie both play round 13. You can only play one hooker in round 13. So if you buy Marnie, you're going to have a spare player on your bench, which is going to be really tough to look at. So I'd probably go Cook out of those two. That's my call there. Then a couple more here. Let's have a look. Is Luai a sell? That is a crazy question, Dean. No, Luai is not a sell. He's a good option. Thank you. Appreciate it, Scott. Always happy to chat with you guys. Always a good time. And then is Verrills a buy? This is so dicey. Kieran Foran is back really soon. He's back really soon, but theoretically they could play Randall at 6 next to Foran, but then Campbell's back soon as well. Tanner Boyd's not that long. Like, I don't think Verrills is trust, but I wouldn't be going and doing it. And then Manu or Tungo. Manu is the better player, but Tungo is the better price. Tungo is better value as well. So I'm leaning towards Tungo, but Manu is a guy you can captain in round 13. So keep that in mind. I'd probably go Tungo, though. Round 14 buy is pretty dicey. And then last question here. Tohu to Max King, need a bid for this week and buy coverage. Yeah, good shout. Look, Tohu, it's a hard one, man, because he's a bit older. He's getting a bit of a rest, and he's got that injury now. So, yeah, it's a tough one. And Peter, see you on the other side. See you on the other side too. Thank you guys for jumping on today. Always a good time. Always good fun. Really appreciate all the comments. Love having hang out with you guys. I'll be releasing Buy, Hold, Sell at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We'll also have a couple of other videos coming up too. So we do Pimp My Team. Get on Discord if you want to be on Pimp My Team. Just ask in the announcements channel how to be on Pimp My Team. We can tell you. And we'll do a buy planning video tonight as well. So I'm getting Paulie from NRL Fantasy on the Casual Athlete. So I'm hosting him this time. He's going to be talking through his buy strategy, how he plans out his buys and all of that. So that's going to be a really good video too. Anyway, guys, cheers for coming on. Appreciate all your work. Hopefully you're going well this week. Good luck, captain well, and be brave.